Hello, 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 and welcome to Updog Sports Talk, where the show barks back at you. My name is Matt Miller. Joining me today is Justin McGovern, and we have a very special guest, Mr. First Down. We'll get to introducing him more in a second. But, Justin, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about the AFC South if all the Titans gear that is on all of us does not give that away.
Here at Updog Sports Talk, we like to kind of stick up for the little guy, the teams that are underrepresented. During COVID, ESPN was only talking about Tom Brady's, LeBron James's, like those kind of, like the top 1% of the 1% of athletes. And we came in and we were like, you know what? There's a lot of teams being underrepresented. So I guess kicking it off on a team that is very underrepresented right now by the mainstream media, Mr. First Down, looks like the Titans threw up all over you. So this is a good chance for us to have you introduce yourself, and then we'll jump right into your Titans.
Well, I love how my dog waited till we went live to decide to bark at probably a beach ball or something.
Only on Updog Sports Talk.
Yeah, that's right. She knew. She just wanted to introduce herself. But anyway, hi everybody. I'm Mr. First Down. Happy to be here on Updog Sports Show, Sports Network. I am a avid Titans fan. If you couldn't tell, it's either that or Carolina. I can't tell anymore. It's all blue. But yeah, I am a fan. About 15-year season ticket member. I've seen it all, and people say how'd last season go? I said, well, I've seen worse. So
that's very added.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk AFC South. I'm happy to talk Titans. It's great that you guys have this show to the underrepresented people, or the people that get the first round draft pick and then don't get the media coverage on the first round draft pick. Whatever way you want to slice it up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to forget that Cam Ward was drafted number 1 overall. He was drafted number 1 overall, by the way, everybody watching. So what were your, obviously Cam Ward, big highlight in Tennessee. What were your what were your most exciting moves that the Titans have done this offseason?
Honestly, I think a very undersold piece of the free agency period, other than the left tackle whose name eludes me at the moment from the Steelers.
Dan Moore.
Yes, thank you, Dan Moore. The Cody Barton has been nothing but fantastic here since he walked through the door. And I had known of Barton before, so I was like, good, listen, this is a sneaky good signing. I'm telling you right now, and so far, so good. The guy is all over the place. He is mouthing off to the first-round draft pick. He is a force and a leader that is desperately needed on a team that is 68% young guys that are playing football, professional football for the first time.
And if you're wondering who was drafted number 1 overall, that would be Cam Ward.
I think it was Cam. I can't be sure anymore. We knew who he was. He came off the plane and we're like, oh, that's him. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's going to play into the Titans' favor. I mean, I don't think it's just media and football watchers that forgot about Cam Ward already. I think teams were like, okay, that's people to watch from this draft. Travis Hunter's going to be here, and then they went through the rest of the draft, and I think Cam Ward is going to be underrated going into the season.
Yeah, he'll be underrated. And we're not getting any favors here. They're sending us up to Denver for week 1. Oh boy, the best secondary in the NFL. Why not? Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. So, but hey, this is a man's league. This is what you got to do or what. And they are. I mean, I was up there for Green Bay for the draft pick and whatnot, and I was having quite a good time. I think even the Titans beat reporter spotted me in the audience chugging a 40, and he's like, he looks ready. And I'm like, oh, I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready for whatever we pick at this point.
Drinking the sorrows away from the last few seasons.
I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, trust me. I walked into Green Bay, and they're like, holy crap, they do exist when I walk through. So, yeah, no, I, for one, if anybody followed me all through the offseason, I was on team trade out. I banged that drum so hard. And for a while there, it looked like I was correct. probably up before a month before the draft. It looked like they were going to trade out of that draft pick. I wasn't the only one that was saying it. Ian Rappaport was hearing stuff about it. Schefter, all these guys at CBS Sports and everything. At the Combine, we were hearing that they were talking or whatever. And even, like, at the draft, we saw the Giants GM calling the Titans GM Mike Borgonzi, and he's like, I think they're picking. I'm like, yeah, we are picking. Thank you. Anyway. But, so, when we picked Cam Ward, I was just kind of like, well, that's fine. Look, you guys are the experts, but, you're going to be judged by whatever you do, and these guys seem to be of the vein that you're going to draft all these young guys together, and they're all going to grow up together and play this game. I think that's what they are going for. That's what the head of football operations from Green Bay, Chad Brinker, that is what that's what he grew up learning and doing up there. I think he ran analytics for Green Bay, and I think that is what he is implementing down here in Tennessee.
Well, it's been
I think it's fair to say, outside of a couple small free agent signings here and there, the Titans mostly decide to build from the draft with their offseason.
Right. O-line's pretty much the only thing they went after in free agency at that point. You had a couple of guys here and there, but Barton was the big one. Zettler at offensive line was a massive get because this O-line was bad. I can't even emphasize it, how bad it was.
We're going to be talking about a lot of bad offensive lines tonight.
Oh, yes, we are.
Well, when you look at it, it's out with the old and with the new. Kind of starting fresh last year, bringing in Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. He came into the doors, and it seemed like when he saw Will Levis, he was like, who the hell is this guy drinking mayonnaise?
Yeah, or eating banana with a peel on.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, we were all like, this is the guy.
Yeah.
This is this guy.
I think you guys have an excellent head coach. And looking at a lot of the moves, I think they've done enough to potentially start righting the ship. I mean, bring in Van Jefferson, bring in Tyler Lockett, bring in Dan Moore, Kevin Zeitler, Jermont Jones, huge pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Barton.
People don't think so, but that really is a good one.
Yeah, he's still got some left in the tank. Like, he
does.
Underrated in Seattle.
Yep.
And then, by the way, Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick, in case you forgot already.
What?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Really now?
Right. No, can we talk about Sanders? Can we talk about this guy 4th on the depth chart with speeding tickets? Can we do that, please? I would love to.
But I mean, like, if you look at the rest of the division, outside of the Texans, the rest of the teams aren't competitive. They were all top 10 picks.
Let me tell you this, guys. I don't know if you feel the same way I do. Vein of Peter Frampton, do you feel like I do?
Yeah, love it.
Vein here. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. But I just don't fear Trevor Lawrence. And you can pay him like he's a starting quarterback. But listen, two years ago, I think, we had one of the worst defenses ever, one of the worst secondaries ever. And that man, all they had to do was beat us to get to the playoffs. He threw 2 interceptions and fumbled twice. Like, with his starting offense versus my Swiss cheese defense. And he still lost the game.
Like, God,
there it is. It haunts my dreams, But I don't understand. Like, it's almost like they're just like, if we pay him like a starting quarterback, then he'll play like a starting quarterback. And I just kind of sit there going, what is this guy, right? It's the same on the Colts with Anthony Richardson, but we all know who's starting at quarterback. It is going to be Daniel Jones, who, by the way, I am mildly excited about for him because if he's out of, the Giants, it'd be interesting to see what he can do. I don't think it's going to be like Herculean effort or something like that. Like, he's going to raise all the ships up. But, they had to do something in Indy. They had to.
Yeah. Let's hit the pause button on Indy real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's hit back to the Jaguars right now.
Oh, okay.
We got to talk about we touched on the Trevor Lawrence thing.
God, it's so weird. My wife turned
This
off the lights
offensive
the other day
line-
and did that. It was terrifying. I was like, ugh. Don't do that. Sorry.
Pull it up again, Matt.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
It's happening now. It's too late.
Listen, this is like what they do to people in Guantanamo Bay. They just play that over and over. Again. They're like, oh, God, I'll tell you anything.
We have sound effects on here, and eventually I think we'll learn how to just download that as a sound effect.
oh,
Can you hear
God.
that? 'Cause that's
Oh, he
coming
turned
through.
it up. Oh, God.
Yeah, you turned it up louder now.
Yeah.
Please,
yeah.
take whatever you want. Just
Take
get
that.
out.
Take that. And that.
Take my Matt Hasselbeck signed pylon from Tampa Bay game where he jumped over it.
That's pretty
That's
dope.
really nice. That's pretty sweet.
Hey, thank
All
you.
right,
I loved him. I
weird
love that
flex.
guy. Yeah. It's all I got, okay?
So let's hear what, from your perspective as a Titans fan, what did you see as like the Jaguars' offseason strategy?
I felt like well, first of all, their offseason with the coach that they didn't have, but did have, but didn't have, but did have, back and forth. Oh no, he still works for Tampa Bay and all that. That went on for like 3 days, I think, and I was like,
That went on for
what
way too long for a professional
we
organization.
doing? Yeah, what are we doing out there? And I was just sitting there like, golly. And he finally gets there, and then we get the sound effect. Don't play it, but we get the sound effect. And then his GM is also kind of odd as well. And I'm just sitting there like
younger than us.
Right. Yeah, he looks like somebody that stars in a show off the CW. You know what I mean? Or like one of those like preteen shows on Netflix or something like that. His hair, and all that stuff. Not that I'm judging, but
like a Middle America 902 or 90.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And these guys kind of come in there, and I think their just strategy is to kind of revolutionize the offense, ? But, I mean, like, look, you already got, Byron Jones Jr., who's terrific. I think he's great. And they feature him heavily, and then they go out there, and I'll be honest with you guys, everybody that I had listened to, everybody I had read, everybody in any podcast that I listened to has Travis Hunter not as a wide receiver. They had him as a cornerback. They said, no, he's not playing wide receiver in this league. Diana Rossini went as far in The Athletic to say she goes, I talked to like 12 different GMs, and every single one said he'd play a cornerback if he was drafted. And then here come the Jags, of course, to say he's going to play wide receiver. And by the way, I think they gave up way too much to move down there. I was very uncomfortable with that. But they're trying to go for a very dynamic offense. I kind of look at what Tampa Bay is doing, and by the way, good for Baker finding a home there and whatnot, and making it work. But still, I just kind of watched this whole thing happen, and as long as Trevor Lawrence is our quarterback, I'm just not really I hate saying this, but I don't want to underestimate anybody, especially a division opponent, but I'm just kind of like, I'm not really wowed by anything. I'm not really, this is the same thing. I mean, how many years, guys, did they win the offseason? They won the offseason year after year in the early 2010s and so forth.
And the one thing I think I like about their offseason is that they finally, because they so-called won the offseason because they paid a ton of money to a bunch of guys, and none of them really worked out. So I like that they kind of took a more low-key approach this year for once.
Instead, they gave all that money to Travis Hunter.
And all their draft picks to Cleveland.
Yeah, they had like 4 or 5 draft picks where I was just kind of like, okay, well, I mean, all right. Weird flex, but okay, like you said earlier. But I just, Liam Cohen's going to have his chance to show everybody what he's about. Because right now, all of us have a soundbite and just very strange, words coming out of a GM. So we'll find out. Maybe this is just what they need. Maybe they need this weird mixture of whatever their GM is supposed to be and whatever this head coach is supposed to be. Maybe they figure out the Trevor Lawrence code. I doubt it, because I think, Trevor Lawrence is in year 5? Quarterbacks don't really change after year 5. This is who they are, right?
One thing that is glaring, or 2 things that are glaring to me on the offense. They went from paying a bunch of receivers the past 2 years to now they pretty much just have Brian Thomas Jr. And I guess Travis Hunter is going to be expected to play a decent amount. A wide receiver. And then the offensive line is another glaring thing. I don't think they did enough to address it.
Hey, you want to go ahead and cut that sentence out and repeat it for every team in the AFC South while you're at it? Just go.
I mean, especially this one though. I feel like they didn't even make much of an effort. I wanted to see them use an early draft pick on the offensive line. Their earliest pick was in the 3rd round, late 3rd.
Yeah, and one thing that they needed to show Trevor Lawrence that, hey, you're still our guy, is to do something to the offensive line. They had the weapons that they could have overpaid for receivers. But they didn't do. They overpaid for offensive linemen that are just going to get blown up at the line of scrimmage anyway. Yeah. So
I think that's one of Trevor's biggest issues too. Is if he does not have good blocking, he gets very uncomfortable. He stares at his line too much and gets all out of sorts, and that's where he starts throwing picks. I think Trevor could actually be a threat in this league if he could ever get blocking, but we're not seeing that. And we're getting to the point. You made a good point about year 5. If he's at year 5 now and still dealing with the same blocking, at some point it's not going to be salvageable.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and you also have to, I give them full kudos. I'd like to be fully, not obscure, but fully, whatever, out in the open about this. You went all in on him, okay? And no matter who you do that with, that's a gamble, unless you're like Patrick Mahomes or something like that. But they went all in on Travis, on him. Sorry, Sunshine. I always call him Sunshine because that's what he reminds me of from Return of the Titans. But, and I was like, okay, well, look, I like football. I dabble in football. We all dabble in football. We talk about it endlessly or whatnot, but I'm not like football knowledge. Maybe they see something that I don't see or whatever. And it just seems like every year we see him and he's just throwing bad picks or throwing down the sideline and it kind of drifts towards the middle right into a waiting safety's hands who doesn't even have to run and go grab it. It's like rinse, wash, repeat with him over and over, especially the second half of the year. So I just, when it comes to the Jags, I think the word is, show me something. Show me. What do you got? Because this is the same thing. As far as I'm concerned, this is another sequel. So
what I do like is on defense, they address the secondary. They brought in Eric Murray, Jordan Lewis, and then they drafted Travis Hunter. But I still don't think they did enough on defense either. I do like them drafting Jack Kaiser. I'm a Notre Dame fan. He's going to get you like 150 tackles.
Right. Very busy man. He's going to be a very busy man.
Yes. He's going to be a very underpaid fourth-round pick. So I think they are moving in the right direction. Like we've said, we just got done with the NFC South. They're moving in the right direction.
How was that? How are they doing? How are the Saints? Are they all right? Are they alive?
For the fifth year in a row. For the
Saints,
fifth year in a row, cap
only
hell.
for Willie Mayonnaise, Saints. I got the phone on. Go ahead. Give me a call.
Is Trayvon Walker ever going to show us something? Former number one overall pick?
I think part of the problem with him is he's in such a small market that he goes unnoticed. But I also don't think that year one he did anything, so everyone was like, "Yeah, we're gonna forget you ever existed." He actually did a pretty big jump.
He was Cam Ward before he was Cam Ward.
Yeah,
it seems to be a pattern with these AFC South number one overall picks.
But he had a good jump last year. If he can jump again this year, I think he's going to start coming back into the conversation of, oh, wow, he was a number one overall pick.
Is this year 3 for him? I think it's year 3.
So, yeah.
This is year 3, yeah.
This should be it, then. This is it, right? So,
I'm pulling up his... I'm trying to pull up his stats right now to see what he did last year, yeah. Oh, wait, hang on. There we go. He got 10.5 sacks. He actually did pretty good.
Hey.
Okay.
Golf clap.
Yeah. Moving on up.
Well done.
Well, they won't be in the Arch Manning sweepstakes, but they'll be pretty close. So we have a weird conspiracy here that we think that the Saints...
They're very popular nowadays.
The Saints, the Giants, and the Colts, 3 franchises that have already had a Manning, are going to be competing for the next Manning.
I told you to stay off the Reddit page, man. You look what you've done. No, and by the way, I completely agree with you because my cousin is a big Saints fan, and he called me the other day and he goes, "I swear to God, Sam, it's true." Like he refuses to see any other way forward, and I understand why. It's like, hey, he's going to come back to where Grandpappy played, and he's going to save us.
Also, remember, we didn't actually talk about this the last episode. Garrett Nussmeier, LSU quarterback, his dad is the offensive coordinator for the Saints. Just keep that in mind when we get into draft season.
We don't have that in our background noise just yet, but
it's got to be like public domain soon, right? So we can just be like.
So I guess we'll just kick the Colts off with. Yeah, I think they might need an offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess our first question is this it? Like, is Anthony Richardson done? Is there any hope?
Let me go ahead and walk you through this. My in-laws are all Colts fans, and they used to abuse me. You guys remember the fella by the name of Jake Locker, right? They used to play for us. God bless that kid. He just got destroyed, and he was very bad. But so they are going on this whole thing. I was like, hey guys, you remember what you said about Jake Locker? Yeah, that's this guy, only worse. And they're just like, how dare you the Colts would never do something like, look, the guy got himself out of there on a goal situation to go sit on the bench because he was thirsty or tired or whatever. And if all these stories are to be true, but like, let's say they're not true, where there's smoke, there's fire. He has no good rep in that organization, from the locker room to the front office or anything else. That guy has totally ruined everything. And you can even see it if you go back and like look at footage. Somebody on YouTube who has no life, but I appreciate their work, goes on YouTube, and you can look at the body language, like, from everybody around him. It's bad. It's not good. Like, yeah, they're like giving him high five, but they're kind of like, they don't look at him. They're looking down at the ground. It's kind of like that famous picture of Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos, and that running back's just staring at, And then Diana Rossini reported that there were players and coaches lined up outside Stryken's office the next day that were there to say, hey, he can't do this. Like, so this is bad. This is really bad. You have screwed up very bad on this draft pick. I mean, like, the ugly college fan in me that's like, well, I watched him down in Florida. He never did anything good. I told y'all wouldn't listen. But, you can say the same thing about Will Levis, and look who drafted him. So
you're saying that we will see Daniel Jones quite a bit this year.
Daniel Jones is starting this. I'm not a betting man, but boy, if I was, I'd put my 3 children's college funds on it. Daniel Jones is starting.
What about Riley Leonard? Do we see Riley Leonard starting later in this year?
I don't know. I mean, all I've seen, I'm not, in flux with Colt stuff. I know that's a shock. But, like, the only thing I see is Daniel Jones is taking first-team reps all the time. All the time. And even, meeting with wide receivers outside of camp all the time. OTAs all the time. And I really haven't heard much about Riley Leonard. I'm interested, though. I like you guys, I like a good underdog story. I'll take it. So I still think, I don't know if you can move on from Anthony Richardson. You probably can't, especially because he's cheap, I guess, right now. But it's Daniel Jones. Cheap-ish, right? Yeah. Probably. A little bit. It's gotta be Daniel Jones at number 1. I don't see any other way out of this mess, because that guy, yikes. And not to mention he's injured at this moment, Richardson.
Do we think we could see a little Daniel Jones redemption tour here? You look at the receivers that they have: Pittman, Pierce, Downs, just added Tyler Warren. They've got weapons.
Yeah, they do. They do. This is my thing. Okay, so you said that, and I find it very funny because I was talking to... Come on, Tally, really? Anyway, so
Tally's a fan of Updog Sports Talk.
Yeah, she is. She's a wonderful dog.
Updog Sports Talk, where the dogs bark in the background.
Yeah, when the dog just decides to bark at random moments of the night and wake me up. And so it's funny you say that, because that was my dark horse for this season coming up. I did because it's the offseason, I did the way too early dark horse predictions, right? So I said that Daniel Jones is going to be tremendously better. I don't think it's going to be Herculean, like I said, but I love that word, Herculean. It's fun to say.
Maybe the contract that he got for the
good word.
Giants before he got cut, maybe that contract would be justified on how he will play this season.
Maybe. Look, I just
not that he's getting paid that, but
I don't think Daboll is the easiest guy to play for. In fact, I'm kind of curious why he still has a job. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, huh? I mean, that guy is yelling at him all the time, throwing, iPads or tablets across the, bench at him, and Daniel Jones looks like he's about to cry. But, no, like, look, it would just be such an indictment. It would be so New York Giants if Daniel Jones goes to Indy and goes like 5-1 or something in the first 6 games or something along those lines, and not on the running back, like he like passes and wins like short games and whatnot. It would just be so New York Giants luck that he decided to emerge in Indianapolis, and then the questions would start, and we'd all be here going, good.
Well, the offense, we've covered that kind of extensively. Defense, they get JT Tiamalu, Justin. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it's Tamalalo.
They have some guys.
You ever go to Google and kick the names just to hear them say it over and over? I'm like, say what?
I try, and then I can't repeat it, and
Yeah.
I remember Star Lutalele or whatever his name was, and I sat there going, there's no way. That's not your name. You're lying.
How about Latu?
Latu was a good one. Oh, geez. Well, gosh. I remember Clinton Dix. I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
that
but
was a
what
good
is
one.
your real name?
Well, that was
Yeah.
a great one.
Yeah, what's your real name? That is not your real name, sir. No.
So we're Sweet
My name's
Lou
Todd.
Anarumo fans on this
Okay.
show. We really like Sweet Lou. And
Nothing wrong with that.
I think that this defense is more up Sweet Lou's alley than when he got fired in Cincinnati. A lot of Cincinnati coaches end up in the AFC South, I guess.
Go
But
figure.
do you think this defense can kind of carry the weight for the lack of quarterback play that they would most likely get?
The secondary was always way more. Well, of course, Kwity Paye hasn't worked out either. They really thought. I think they were really counting on him to be something. I think they drafted him, 3 years ago? I can't even remember. But this pass rush, which they were trying to build, and then they hire Stryken, and it's like the defense is trying to change what they were trying to build. So now you're like in another kind of rebuild on defense to try to figure out something, some sort of semblance of stopping the pass and whatnot. And last year it didn't do it. Maybe they'll do it this year. Did they draft? I can't remember. Did they draft? I did some research, guys.
They
I promise.
draft. That was
Did they
Latu.
draft Latu? Okay, all right. Maybe this is a step in the right direction because obviously the pass rushing way wasn't gonna cut it. That's. I think they are going to be okay on defense, but it's not going to matter unless they can move the ball at least a little bit on offense.
Yeah, I mean, they
My
brought
one-
in ball hawks, Travarius
Chartavius Ward.
Well, I've heard some
Fun
people.
with names.
Well, there's a Chadarius and a Chavarius.
Listen, I'm with you, okay? I've drafted a player called Chimera DK, but it's spelled Dyke, and I spent like a podcast saying Dyke, and Florida fans were just lighting me up left and right. I was like, what do you mean DK? It's DIKE. His name is DK Sam.
So
Jerk.
I did that a bunch in FIFA. I had a striker with the same last name. So I did that. If you would never have told me, he still would have been called that. So,
Yeah.
but they did bring in Cam Bynum from Minnesota. I think that's a
You
good.
said Cam, and I was like, what?
Nope,
Sorry,
not
sorry.
the forgotten
Sorry.
number
Not
one
the number
overall
one
pick,
overall
Cam
pick.
Ward.
Sorry. I just can't. I just want. This is why we can't have nice things. Like, that's how I feel when that happens.
The
Well,
thing
I-
is, for me,
Go ahead, Justin.
like when I look at this defense, I'm like, who's the one guy that you fear? Who's the one guy the offenses
Right.
look at and go, we got to make sure this guy does not wreck the game? They
Yeah.
just don't have that.
Zaire
I don't
Franklin,
think they
maybe?
have it. Maybe, but like he's just Zaire Franklin to me is just a sure tackler. He's not doing anything like extra exquisite. I mean, if you're towards his gap, I feel like he's going to take care of the job, but I don't think he is going to really wow anybody. I say
He's
that,
not gonna
you know, hey,
wreck your offense, but he's
Right,
gonna make
yeah,
sure
yeah.
he's gonna make sure you don't get past him either.
Sure. Yeah, that's where I am at. That guy, to me, is a big-time run stopper. Colts fans will tell you he's the best thing since sliced bread, and he's going to really step it up this year. But let's be honest. He's just mainly to keep guys in the backfield or from going too much forward. That's his job. And that's not
Yeah.
a bad job to have. So,
He's definitely
They need-
no
they need
Darius
guy.
Leonard for sure.
no. Gee whiz, man. What an end of a legacy there.
And by the
Man.
way, I specifically say Darius Leonard because as soon as he did the name change, like things changed significantly.
It went so bad because I remember people on the radio going, Shaq Leonard. And I was like, well, now you've ruined it. Now you've ruined everything. It came with a name of all things, It didn't matter that he was injury prone before. Now he's getting more injured because his name changed. I remember his smack talk about Derrick Henry. That was the best highlight of that year for me. So I'll take that. Derrick took him to the woodshed. Anyway, memories.
Well, that's enough for the scrubs of the division. Maybe
No,
we can move on to
Don't do that. Flattery will get you everywhere, sir. Go ahead. I'm in a fragile state. You're taking advantage. I get it. Let's do
Texas.
the song and dance.
Houston Texans. I wear the Oilers hat to troll, but
Oh, okay, cool. Excuse me.
Hey, I see the Oilers banner behind you there.
Oh yeah. It's our history. I really like going to the draft and answering that question over and over. That's what I'm there for. People
what do you
are
like
doing
about
it.
them Oilers?
You weren't there. Sorry, guys. Anyway,
Well-
go ahead. I'm sorry.
My favorite is when anyone talks about the Houston Oilers is, hey, you remember that one year they moved to Cleveland, or not Cleveland, Tennessee, and were the Tennessee Oilers before they changed to the Titans?
Yeah, I do. It was a horrible season.
Yeah.
I was really excited about having a football team. I was 12, I was like,
Wasn't that the year they played in Memphis?
They played in Memphis. Memphis threw a little baby fit because they were going to go to Nashville. And so the very last game at Memphis Stadium, they were playing the Steelers, and the mayor had them pass out yellow. It was raining. They passed out yellow ponchos or whatnot. And Bud Adams was like, you know what? We're not even going to play here next year. And they played next year in Vandy until the stadium was built. Mm-hmm.
Too bad they didn't have the suspended scoreboard like Vandy did a couple years ago.
Yeah, no, but it was wild. If you listen to players, you talk. They've had Eddie George, Blaine Bishop, and all those old heads. Frank Wycheck, R.I.P. Big fella. They've all talked about how wild that was and how Memphis was like, you should stay, and they're like, I don't want to stay. Like, I want to go to Nashville. So it's just one of those things, and there's still a little bit of rivalry there between Tennessee and Memphis, but. The Titans have done a good job the last couple of years of making sure they recognize both East Tennessee and West Tennessee. Wow, Tally, still doing this.
And the awesome thing is that for a few games the past few years, the Titans have actually used the Oilers uniforms against Houston.
Petty, and lost. So what are we doing? Like, they're not wearing them this year.
No, I don't think they're allowed to this year.
Well, I think Nike said, hey, I'm not going to make light blue jerseys for you not to wear them. So now they're wearing this for every home game this year. And they said it's to honor their Titans legends, but if you read the fine print, Nike was like, you have to wear the light blue jersey. Yeah. you have no, in the words of the Emperor, it's unavoidable. It is your destiny.
I want to see Reebok make a bounce into the sport.
Yeah, me too. I would love it. I love the old Reebok stuff. Are you kidding? Oh, man. It was great stuff. I have stuff on this other wall that is old Titans Reebok stuff. So, yeah, I would definitely love it if Reebok came back. Man, I love it. It's crazy to see it at Walmart now, though, isn't it? I walk in and I see Reebok stuff. I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here?
It's like a turf war between Reebok and Champs for...
Champion, it really is. And one shoes all over the place. No. It's like, what's happening here?
Back to the main reason why AFC South is a division. Houston Texans, just
It's okay. I have no more tears to shed. It's fine.
The Texans lost in a controversy to the Chiefs last year.
Sorry, controversy.
Big old controversy.
Is this because I said Herculean? Now you're going to try to make another word? Like,
actually, controversy's been a part of our show for a while.
Has it? Okay, yeah. That's fine. That's cool.
We have to bring back the classics every now and then.
But the Texans go back to my
absolutely got to bring out the stuff that we used to throw out there when no one watched. Like all that kind of stuff.
Hey, listen,
all the stuff that's just for us.
I used to be kind of smart, and then the children came along. Now I'm over here like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, like all the time.
Yeah, lame dad now, huh?
That's all that's playing. Yeah, that's all that's playing right there. Dad, I want to watch Mary Poppins again. Really, for the 1,800th time, you want to watch Mary Poppins, and then you make fun of it, and then you find yourself washing dishes or doing something, going supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
You're at work in a very important meeting, and then you're like, "Don't do it! Don't do it!"
My dumb brain is already messed up anyway. It would be something like from the early 90s, like, it must have been love, but it's over now. Busted in. You think something's funny, Sam? Yeah, I think something's jamming. Anyway, or something along those lines. So, sorry for that tangent. Yes, the Houston Texans. Them. Yeah, yes,
they spent a ton of money after that loss.
A
ton of money. I mean, they brought in Christian Kirk, Cam Robinson, Laken Tomlinson. They
brought in an offensive lineman for every single position.
Yep.
Not just starters, but backups. They made sure that if somebody goes down, they had a good player to fill their shoes. Yep. And then they brought in a bunch of backups on defense. They're giving Damon Arnett a shot. They brought in CJGJ.
Bless you. Who?
Sheldon Rankins. So they got quite a bit going here. I think the big storyline for them is Mixon-Chubb tandem. I think that's going to be lethal. But I don't think either one, unless one gets hurt, I don't think either one's hitting 1,000 yards.
No, I don't. I don't think so either. The Texans are the class of the division right now, and it wasn't a great class. It wasn't a big showing for the Texans last year either. They just had to be better than us, and that didn't take a whole lot. But they bulked up. I kind of felt like you said, with all the money flowing around after that game, I was thinking like, easy Tex, easy boy.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Whoa!
Yeah, easy killer. Danico seems to be the kind of guy, good coach, by the way. So when I say this, don't think I'm like, I hate that guy. But I do hate him on Sundays. But he's one of those guys that can be a little emotional. Like, if we got rid of Danico Autry, he was signed by the Texans within the hour. We got rid of a player, he was signed by and then as soon as the game was over, he was cutting them. Like, he played the Titans and he'd cut them, and stuff like that. And he just constantly kind of does those kind of things. I think he's just one of these guys that's like, hey, he probably called everybody into the office. This is what it felt like to me. I don't have any definitive proof for you, but it really felt like when they threw money around that he's like, I want this to happen and I don't want this and I want it done today and blah, blah, blah. It sounds like something he would do. Will it pay off? It very well could. Those are a lot of good players. He's got good to decent players he's got out there. But the big question for me when I look at the Texans is not really the defense, because I thought their defense did an admirable job last year. In fact, I think they're going to be better this year. It's C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is the whole mystery here. He had his sophomore slump, which got yelled at for predicting, even though 80-something% of quarterbacks have a sophomore slump. There is no escape.
I got lit up by Ohio State fans saying he's the savior of Ohio State football. How dare you say that?
And then they won the national championship, later.
Without him, yeah.
Yeah, without him. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So C.J. Stroud is one of those players that and at risk of sounding like Chris Collinsworth.
Here's a guy. Here's a guy.
He's one of those guys.
Here's a guy.
He has a lot of talent around him. You get rid of
he does.
Locker room distraction Stephon Diggs, and you bring in Christian Kirk. You draft Jaden Higgins. You still have Tank Dell and John Mechie.
Mm-hmm.
They also drafted Jalen Noel just to make sure they doubled down those Iowa State receivers.
They all the pressure is on CJ Stroud.
Iowa State receivers.
All the pressure is on CJ Stroud.
It is immense.
If he doesn't perform, it's not saying he's a bust, but if he doesn't perform, then it's just not living up to expectations at that point.
Correct.
You're not building into that elite tier that some people thought he was going to hit in his rookie.
Fitting in with the AFC South mantra.
Yeah. Now, also fitting in with the AFC South.
You're either good or mediocre here. We don't aim for greatness. That was for Peyton. That was it.
Also fitting into the AFC South, we definitely need to. I mean, they did a lot to change here. There's a reason they brought in an offensive lineman in all 5 positions. Yeah. Their offensive line just sucked last year. It was
bad.
And I looked up the blocking grades for last year, and they were dead last in the NFL.
Really? Past me? God dang.
You made the playoffs with the worst offensive line in the NFL.
That's true.
Thanks, That's my glaring question mark for this team.
Well, I mean, look, like I said, I think Danico is doing a hard right here to try to tug it kicking and screaming into the way that he wants. Will it pay off? Well, I mean, we'll find out. I think the thing about it, though, is offensive line is bad. I make no doubt about it. But why did my awful team split with them last year? I'll let you know. And C.J. Stroud had time to throw that game. I'll let you know. And he still threw 2 picks and then a safety. He can throw it down. I've never seen anybody, and I really mean this. He threw it down the field on the sideline, and it was perfect. I've never seen anybody do it, and he did it over and over again. It was beautiful. And then he had to throw one across the middle. He threw it right to our guys twice. Right to him. And I'm talking wide open guy, wide open. And then people started going back and looking at film, and he was having trouble, I guess, what is it called? The intermediate routes? All these little middle of the road routes. Why is he having trouble with those? He's
very. I've noticed one of his biggest flaws in this game is he's a very hesitant decision maker at times, and I think especially with that stuff in the middle, he's just very hesitant with it. Doesn't trust what he's seeing at times, and that's where you're seeing either he's floating the ball in the middle of the defense, or he's just holding on to it too long and taking a sack.
Well, I think it comes down to his experience at Ohio State. I think he was blessed with such good receivers on the outside that he didn't have to throw over the middle. He could just throw over the top or hit comebacks or back shoulders all day. Now in the NFL, you have to hit that middle route. And do you remember his rookie season when he was the best quarterback in the NFL? You know how
Right.
many quarterbacks were hurt that year?
How many?
Pretty much the entire top 7, 8, 9 quarterbacks had gotten hurt for a big chunk of time. That's the year that Joe Burrow got hurt and Patrick Mahomes wasn't Patrick Mahomes, and like it was a weird environment in the NFL. And then CJ Stroud, I mean, if everybody played, he probably would have been 15th, and we wouldn't have been having the same conversation. So I think the fact that everybody got hurt elevated him into the spotlight.
Right, and he's hitting, Tank Dell down the field for 60 yards a pop, and that makes a very good highlight. But when it comes to, like, those kinds of things, like you were saying, that was also, I think that was the year where, like, the average scoring was, like, 20 points or something. Like it was an ugly year when you go back.
It was a very weird year.
Bad.
Like Matt said, Joe Burrow got hurt. Mahomes wasn't himself. The Bills fired their offensive coordinator halfway through the year. Like, you saw all sorts of weird stuff.
Pretty sure that was the year that Dak Prescott should have won the MVP because everybody else was hurt. Lamar Jackson won it instead, just like last year. Should have been Lamar. Sorry, Justin.
I'm taking it. You can't take it away from him. It's his.
Gosh. Let's get into
the
this.
camera
What's
does
wrong
not
with you
pan
two?
well, but yes, my wife set up these banners behind me, and she, of course, strategically put she's the Bengals fan, so she strategically put the Bengals one.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
But
nothing you want, young man. Nothing. No, that's good. Look, the Bills deserve it more than anybody to have a nice reign. Did you like how they? Real quick aside, did you like how they were running Allen last year? I was not a fan of running him off the guards. I was not a fan of that. I thought that was like, no, I'm not doing that with him. I'm not doing
let's maybe we can use that a little bit against the Chiefs, but
sure,
let's not use it against anyone else.
But it was kind of like, gee, that was fun. Let's do it again. And you're like, no, don't do that.
So, funny story
Makes
has
me
nothing
nervous.
to do with the AFC South. Justin and I played a game
It's
of
not
Madden.
that funny, is it? Anyway, go ahead.
It's fairly funny. Justin and I played Madden, and I chose a rookie Cam Newton, Panthers, and Justin chose the Ravens the year they won the Super Bowl.
Okay. Wait, which one? You talking 2000, or are you talking about?
The year that
2012.
Cam Newton was a rookie was like 2010.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you guys were like picking. Okay, all right.
So,
So
no,
this
like,
had to be like the
yeah.
blackout Super Bowl winning.
Okay.
Ravens.
So I had nobody else on the team,
Flacco's on fire.
and I had to goal line QB sneak the entire game.
How'd you do?
Cam Newton had like 200 yards rushing with like 3 touchdowns.
No. There's no 3 touchdowns because here's
No.
the other thing about this game.
No, he
it was
had 3
very
wrong-
low scoring.
He had 3 70-yard runs. That's what it was. It was low scoring. The only reason why Justin beat me was because I got greedy at the end and decided to try for the throw for a touchdown, and he 99-yard pick six me at the buzzer.
Of course.
Yeah, I think it was at the buzzer. Matt kicked 2 field goals in that game, so I won 7-6 on the 99-yard pick six.
Golly, that Xbox headset or whatever you had on had to be like.
This was in person. We were in person together when we did this.
Jeez, that's even worse.
And we were roommates.
I
so
don't know
kinda
why,
wanted
but
to
like,
just-
I bet Matt
Beat him
would
with a
just stare at the TV. Don't look at him. Don't look at him.
It was actually not too long after that we determined that we actually can't play each other against each other.
So
we have to
the
play-
next time we tried to play against each other at anything was when we played a game of checkers in front of Cracker Barrel. We tied without giving up a single piece.
Yeah.
Man, I've got to
And-
get y'all like in laser tag or something to see how well that goes.
All of this just to
Justin's
say,
cheating. Justin's
that-
cheating.
for real, he does.
False.
All of that just to say
Wrong.
that the
just wants
AFC
to
South
win.
also sucks. So,
It does. It's really bad.
do you have have you given any thought on order that it's going to end in this year?
Predicted finishing order for the division.
I hate these because these always come back to haunt me every single time. Every single time I do this. Because I actually thought we were going to be halfway decent because I thought Will Levis was halfway decent last year. Wah, wah. Anyway, shows what I know. So, look, the Texans are winning this division. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Mike Borgonzi, the Titans GM, has done a very good job. And it's great that Warren Moon gave Cam Ward his number. I don't think it's that great personally because I would have been like, bro, he hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't thrown a football in a game, and not even a preseason game. You're giving him number one? Nah, fam, don't do it. But he did it, and I could tell that Borgonzi was a little. By the way, can I tell you how great it is to have a guy with a Boston accent as your GM in the South? He went, to his credit, he came to a season ticket member event, and he's like, "Y'all want to hear me do departed quotes?" And we're like, "Yeah, we do." Departed. It was great. So he's been great, but he was very like honest with the crowd and everything. He's like, "Guys, we got a lot of work to do. We have an absolute." He goes, "We're going to be better this year, but he goes, we are putting a lot of pressure on a lot of these young men, and so we're going to do the very best we can, but we have a lot of work to do." Which sounds like me like, "Hey guys, it's not going to be a great year. We're going to be better, but we're not going to be like a stellar year or whatnot." So I had Texans, Jags, Titans, Colts. That's what I had, because I think Daniel Jones will show up a little bit at the beginning of the season, and we'll all have our shows where we say, "Oh my God, who knew? Who knew?" And then we'll all be like, "We knew." Mm-hmm. And then like it'll fall apart somewhere, and we'll see Anthony Richardson this year, and it's just going to go bad. I think Striking's on his way out. That kind of thing. But the other thing is, and I think it's rather unfair because I actually like Brian Callahan. He was given a poop sandwich last year. It was like,
with
make dinner. Yeah, make dinner, And Rand Carthon, the old GM, is there, and he's kind of like this used car salesman. I'm telling you, man, I love me some Mayo Man Will Levis. And like, you can see Callahan, like, literally, like, just yelling at him on the sidelines constantly. Like, are you just not listening to anything I'm saying, And I felt really bad for him, but, like, it stinks being an NFL coach sometimes because this he's got to do something this year. And do something, I mean, you got to get more than 5 wins this year. You have to get more than 5 wins. That's the magic number in my book. You've got to get like 6 or 7 wins to keep your job. And it stinks because I really felt like last year he was given absolute diddly to work with. And he's going to make
it was like
it work.
It was like, okay, hey, we hired you because we liked what you were running with Joe Burrow. Now run what you were running with Joe Burrow with Will Levis. Yeah,
exactly. And Will Levis, when they're like reading his lips, he's like, "Oh, I didn't even see him there." And I'm like, God help me. But yeah, no, look, I really want him to work out. Just get more than 5 wins, Mr. Callahan. Get us to a 6 and 7. Hey, if you get to 8, that's a victory in my book. You've done it. But you're counting on this roster. And by the way, I have not given my team an A draft in a very long time. I gave them an A draft for this one. I loved what they did. I thought it was fantastic. I really wanted them to trade out, but you got Gunnar Helm, you got DK, you got these guys. The guy that beat Travis Hunter from Stanford, Aomir.
Yeah, Ao Manor. Alex.
Ayo. Anyway, so that's what we're gonna say. Aometer, and then lo and behold, you get the undrafted Xavier Restrepo, who's shown up to camp and done an admirable job.
I don't know how that guy went undrafted,
Speed.
But what a pickup! Yeah, what an incredible pickup because he worked at Cam Ward in college. The two of them were a great combo. So already you gave your guy some familiarity.
I always hate talking about this stuff, but it matters somewhat that Cam Ward, Gunnar Helm, and DK and Aometer have been there every day, have shown up before everybody else shows up, and have put in work every day. Because it was put on them by Borgonzi and that leadership and that front office to say, hey, you guys are the leaders here. Like this, look at this roster. You guys are going to be the ones that are going to have to lead these guys. So it's, these guys are very likable. And it makes it harder for me to take off my thing. I mean, look, I could talk Titans with you guys all day. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but I can. But, like, it makes it hard for me not to be a little bit one-sided because I really want them to do well. I really want them to do well. And that's kind of hard for me as somebody that has loved football and can talk about his division rivals without spit flying out of his mouth, stuff like that. But, yeah, like, I think they do enough to get that third place. I'll say 7 wins for my Titans. I'll say probably 4 or 5 wins for the Colts and 8 or 9 for the Jags, and then the Texans will have 11 or 12, and then they'll take the division. That's my vote. I'm sticking to it.
Justin, what's your order?
My order is going to be Texans, obviously. No surprise there. I'm going to go. Unfortunately, I got the same. I have the same order. I got the Jaguars in second, Titans in third, Colts kind of falling apart and falling.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was gonna try to somehow move the Titans down just to kind of get a reaction out of you, but
I'm dead
I just
inside.
can't.
There's nothing else to do.
I just can't. I mean, you have to put those two at the bottom, and the Colts are reeling right now. Like they're spiraling. It's not a good.
It reeks of desperation. They reek of desperation.
Yeah. And they lost their owners. Like they're already, their spirits are already down.
Dude, did you see Ursay's daughter? That lady looks mad constantly.
And then you got Duval in second place.
Got one more in there.
Then and then obviously the Texans. But I mean, I think that depending on like how if CJ Stroud does bad this season, I think you're looking at another 9-win division winner.
Yeah.
But if he plays really good, I think he can kind of push his team a little bit further in the playoffs. But
he can, 100%. I like CJ Stroud. It's hard not to like. I mean, I'm not wild about what he says on podcasts and everything. No. Good God, my guy. It's going to be all right. But, yeah, no, look, they are the more established. They've got their starting quarterback. They've got a defensive-minded coach that knows how to coach up a defense, and they've got the depth. Not only good players, but the depth to back it up. And that's something that is not only affecting us, it's affecting the whole league, having good depth behind players and whatnot. And they've sort of gotten it done. Maybe they can go farther. It wouldn't surprise me if they won a playoff game. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if C.J. Stroud's doing well. I mean, I won't openly say that. You can edit that out, right? But
well, unfortunately,
this is a recorded one, not a live one like usual.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, unfortunately, the AFC has so many powerhouse teams that the AFC South
the
just
Jets,
gets.
I know.
So, do you have a podcast, right? Anything you want to tell us about it? This is your time to go ahead and plug yourself in here.
What is it? It's my time has come. All right, don't get nervous. Just go.
Duval.
Okay, yeah. I want the light. I want the lights to flicker, like
Just start
it's just
twitching.
So creepy. It's just so creepy.
Yeah.
I hate it. My brother snuck into my room once and played it in the darkness, and I don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, I host a show called Fanboys Unleashed. That's what we are. We are quite unleashed. But this is the off season. But I pride myself on. Thank you. God dang it. Anyway, loud clapping or Duval? Loud clapping or Duval? Which one? So I will. But yeah, I have found a way to talk about NFL football every single freaking Friday, and I've gotten viewership from it, and I'm pretty happy. Sponsor that is coming in for the show, so I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, thank you. Money. It's not a lot of money. Anyway, but I just wanted to hear that as a Titans fan. I just wanted to be clapping. But the Fanboys Unleashed goes live every Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time on YouTube. You can catch us on the Facebook, like I'm an old person watching the Star Wars. The Facebook, I'm on X at Mr. First Down, and of course YouTube, I think at Mr. First Down as well. Check out the catalog. I've had guests from trying to get guests from every single team on before the real season hits, because I'm going to get real busy real quick. And of course, we've got joint practices happening, and I'm going to try to talk outside the stadium there and whatnot. So we got a lot of things coming down the pipe, and feel free to get through this slog of an off season, just like these guys are. Join us for Fanboys Unleashed every Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central, only on YouTube and Facebook. A new car! I've always wanted to do that.
Well, that is the AFC South. Definitely give Mr. First Down a follow, and definitely check out his YouTube. But also, don't forget about us. We have social media everywhere at Updog Sports Talk on everything.
Do you have it on Google Plus? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
What's funny is I did, and then they shut it
I
down.
actually liked Google Plus.
Yeah, I
and
know.
then it went away, and I was like, oh. There's only me and
Plus.
7 other people here.
Find us wherever you get your podcasts, and then starting again this fall, we're going back to live Wednesdays at 8 o'clock on YouTube. So we'll catch you guys next time.
Hump day?